Today we're going to talk to you guys a little bit about what we've had experience with in our careers as recruiters in terms of what happens when candidates present their resignation and they get a counter offer from their current employer, and how we go about handling them coming back to us and possibly not wanting to leave.
Hi, I'm Ken Cummings. I'm a recruiting consultant here at Collagens.
Hi, I'm Melissa McLean. I'm the sourcing manager here at Collagens, as well as one of the senior recruiters.
So counteroffers happen in our industry all the time.
Yes.
How do you handle those?
That's a loaded question. Different ways. So as a recruiter, you probably do this as well. Mm-hmm. Before the candidate even gets the offer, the first thing I do is you prep them for all types of scenarios that their current employer might come at them with when they go to turn in their resignation. Mm-hmm. One of the things is obviously counteroffer with pay. And I think the second biggest thing is like the promotion that maybe their current employer will say that they're going to get, or a new job title.
Yeah.
Those are kind of the things that I start out with.
I think that's a really good point. And I love that you started with it happens before the counteroffer even happens. So you're preparing for that, right?
Yep.
In previous conversations leading up to even an offer being handed down. So
yeah,
I think that's key in starting the process of overcoming a counteroffer.
Are there any other things that you also present when you're preparing a candidate for a counter?
Yeah, so like you, I start way back in the conversation during the initial stages. You know, I think that's the most imperative time to kind of get in front of that counteroffer, because there's not a worse feeling in the world as a recruiter than having a candidate taking him 99 yards, getting him in the end zone, and then ultimately fumbling the ball by taking a counter. So we try to avoid that as best we can. So yeah, I think for me, the biggest area that I start to impact that whole process before it even arises is again on the front end. I ask a lot of questions to an individual. Mm-hmm. What are their motivations? Do I see a counteroffer on the way? And then I actually talk with them a little bit about addressing what a counteroffer may look like at their current company.
Yep.
Is it likely that they're in a key role where the management team might come back to them to provide them with a counteroffer? How would they address it? And then I kind of work through that with them at that time.
Yeah, and I also think prepping the candidate even before that official talk happens, of like, I do pulse checks. So after every interview, whether it be a phone or an on-site, just kind of having a real conversation with them of how did it go? What were your thoughts? And if you sense hesitation in their voice, what wasn't covered? Or just so when you get to that last conversation of like, okay, an offer is going to be coming, this is what we should prepare for. It's not so overwhelming where they're scared to death or they don't know how to react if that happens.
Yeah, I've seen that a lot. They get really uncomfortable, right, candidates, when they get the counteroffer, because they feel like they have sort of an obligation to be loyal to their current company.
Yeah.
Yet they don't want to disappoint the individuals that they had just interviewed with and the new company that's pursued them. So I think it puts them in a real difficult situation. So what do you do to help alleviate some of that concern that they have?
Yeah, I think so. If they present and put in their resignation and a counter comes and you get that call of, hey, I have to talk to you about something. I was given a counter. First of all, usually you have to take a minute to go, okay, well, what did they counter with, right? Because you want to know, all right, what do I need to address first? Is it pay? Is it title? Did they offer them maybe a week's vacation that they previously didn't have? Or sometimes it's not even actually something like that. It could be their attachment to their manager and the company. They feel guilty that maybe they're on a project or something that they can't leave. So first figuring out what was actually presented to them. And then from there, I individually address each concern. And then I go back to the original probably conversation I had with the candidate of their reasons why they were looking, why they were talking to me, what their motivators are.
Sort of remind them of
why they got into that whole interview process with this new company and all the benefits and things that will outweigh what is just being presented right in front of them. And then I always make sure to ask, was anything given to you in writing?
Yeah.
Because
why is that?
Just because people could say, Ken, you're doing so great, I'm going to give you $50,000 as a bonus at the end of the year. And then you go on and you turn down this offer and then you continue at your company, and then at the end of the year they do layoffs, or there's nothing in writing stating that these promises are going to happen, or I got a promotion. They're giving me a new title. well, did your boss just tell you that before he went to his boss or her boss to say, so you always want to make sure, because I've had candidates that will say, no, I didn't get anything in writing. And I'm like, well, that's non-existent. That's hearsay, So I think reminding candidates, because they get caught up in that moment and your adrenaline's going and you're probably excited that you're getting either a monetary offer or a new job title or whatever it is. So kind of like bringing them back to all those reasons why they were looking.
Those are all really great points. When you're talking about going to them and saying, did you get something in writing? One of the questions I often ask candidates in this situation is, why did it take your company so long? Why did it take until
That's a great question.
The very end of potentially your road with your company to them finally make concessions to you or give you that raise that you were looking for or give you that new title or new responsibilities that you were craving for? Why did it take until this point? Yeah. So are you truly valued there versus another company that'll give you day one? Yep. So those are just some things I try to remind them.
Yeah, that's a great question.
That's important. Statistics.
Yes.
What are the statistics?
Yes.
Do you know?
Yes. They're very high in the, are you talking about if you accept a counteroffer, I think it's 6 months average that you stay, and I want to say it's in like 80 or 90%. And then you end up leaving to go to a new company, so you don't stay after 6 months.
Why do you think that is?
I think to your point of like, why didn't they value me when I was here kind of thing? And all those promises didn't pan out. Maybe it wasn't in writing or it didn't pan out the way they thought it was. And they're still at the core unhappy with that role. And from that first conversation you probably had with that candidate, probably expressed why they were looking to leave, what's their motivators. Yeah. That never changes.
Correct, yeah.
You can get something waved in front of your face to tide you over for a bit, but those core things that somebody's looking for, those aren't going to usually change, or if they do, it's going to take more than 6 months.
You're right. Absolutely. And exactly, great points. So the situation is, their situation that they're going to be in 6 months from now is still going to be the same reason why they were looking in the first place. Nothing's going to change in taking a counteroffer.
Yep.
Even more so, you've actually outed yourself as maybe not being the most loyal employee. So,
you put a target on your back.
Exactly. Yep. If companies come along and they run into a little bit of trouble, and they have to maybe remove some positions to stay afloat, where do you think they're going to turn their eye?
Yeah.
To the folks that aren't shown to be very loyal. So, I think all in all, counteroffers are definitely avoidable.
I think so as well. I think if you know and you do the work as a good, solid recruiter up front, and you're having those conversations, but you want to know the whys behind it and what is their actual real motivator, because somebody will tell you that. It'll come out in conversations. That's why you don't just ask the standard, tell me a time when, or describe this type of project you work on or whatever. You want to know like things about the candidate that are not on the resume or their LinkedIn or, because that's going to get you to not have counters.
So when you get those folks that are really concerned or nervous about having this conversation or uncomfortable with the idea of having two companies kind of fight for them, what are some of your advice that you give to the candidates on how to approach those conversations of declining a counteroffer?
That's a good question too, because obviously you want to stay professional. You don't want to burn bridges. And you also, the candidate has to remember, I always try to tell them, talk them through to the points that they want to go over, right? Like, these are the things that motivate me, or these are the things I'm looking for that I necessarily can't get here. However, I've grown. I always say, like, say something nice about your manager, about the company, about the role that you were in that maybe taught you things to get you to this new point. Obviously, don't leave. I don't want to bash anybody when you're leaving. But I just try to reassure them, and I actually have them write down usually bullet points because people get so nervous. And I'm like, bring in a notepad with you and just put bullet points of, so you cover everything, so you turn it down professionally, and also you can leave feeling like my boss is going to refer me, and like if I ever needed, a professional referral, and I'm going to leave on good terms, and also turn in the proper time, 2 or 3 weeks to close everything out. And I always tell them too, they could walk you off as soon as you turn that in.
It's true.
As recruiters, we know that. We have to prepare for that. So just preparing for that as well. I don't know if you take the same approach.
Yeah, absolutely. I certainly, it's consultative from beginning to end. So certainly at that point, if I know they're going to turn down a counteroffer, I'm helping them through those conversations, giving them some examples or ideas of some questions that might be posed their way as to why they're turning down. And it usually comes back to me offering them advice to just reaffirm why it is that you decided to leave, what the other company is giving you in terms of, you know, a different path in your career or what you were looking for, and that you thank them profusely. It's really flattering to receive a counteroffer.
Yeah.
So that's something,
exactly.
you know,
that's
so thank them for the counteroffer.
Yeah.
But respectfully decline.
Yeah.
And say, I just think that it's best for me at this time to make a move to the other company for the number of reasons that we've already mentioned. But just reaffirming why they were looking in the first place, knowing that's not going to change.
Yeah.
And then knowing that being, in your words, very cordial to your current employer while you're giving the words doesn't burn a bridge, and they can still maintain both relationships and then move on to happier, greener pastures.
Yeah, I agree.
Hi guys, thanks for watching our video. Hopefully you enjoyed our conversation.
Go check out this link for REI for more recruiting videos to either learn more about recruiting or to take some refreshers.